Hey everybody, and welcome to Grace Lutheran Church's worship, and thanks for joining me for my children's sermon. I will be doing the children's sermon virtually just for another couple weeks until August 28th, and then when we start our 8:15 and 10:30 services, that's when I will do these on in person as well at the 10:30 service. So I'm excited, not as well, I'm just going to do them at the 10:30 service. So I'm really excited. It will be along with our live stream service. You can find them in that service, so it'll be great and fun. In the meantime, I thought I would also do something fun today for our children's sermon. I'm going to read a couple poems. But before I read a couple poems, I want you to think about a couple things while I read them. In our story today, we read about Job. And Job is a guy that has really, really, really strong faith in God. And Job is like, I believe in God, I love God, God loves me, all is great. But then a lot of bad things happen to him, like he gets sores and all sorts of stuff, right? It's not good. Like things don't go well for Job. But somehow he still has really strong faith in God. And in all of this, and in the end, he gets all these amazing blessings, but only after all this bad stuff kind of happens. And so I want you to think about, right, in this, knowing that our story is Job and kind of what that looks like, think about that in regards to the poems that I'm going to read. So like what bad things may be happening in the poems. Important things to note. So this one's called My Problem's Worse. We overslept and missed the bus, and everybody's in a fuss. My mom's complaining she'll be late. She's supposed to be at work by 8. And Carla's whining in the back that no one packed her morning snack, and Rudy thinks he's got it rough because he forgot his science stuff. But all their problems can't compete. At least they're wearing underwear. So silly. That's a big problem. And here's the second one. If you make me go to bed now. If you make me go to bed now, I am sure that I would hear the sound of a mosquito buzzing loudly in my ear. So of course I tried to swat him, and I saw him try to land, but I'd miss and break the bed lamp, and I'd know I'd hurt my hand. So I'd need to find some bandages to help to ease the pain, but in the darkness I'd bang my knee so hard I'd need a cane. And the ache would be so awful that I wouldn't sleep a wink. So I'd go to school next morning and I couldn't even think. So of course I'd fail my math test and all of my other subjects too. I'd be so sad and embarrassed. There's nothing left to do except run away from home about as far as I could go. So I'd limp off to Alaska and I'd trudge through ice and snow till I'd meet a hungry grizzly bear all fierce and mean and mad. And as that grizzly ate me, I'd remember Mom and Dad. Yes, I'd think of my dear parents and their final words to me. Get to bed this minute. Turn that light off instantly. Let this poem be a warning to all parents everywhere. If you send your kids to bed, they may be digested by a bear. Now that's kind of silly, right? You won't really get digested by a bear. None of this. It's all just a silly poem, right? But the point of this poem and of the other poem, right, is to kind of show that sometimes one bad thing happens and then you think of another bad thing that could happen, and then another bad things happen, and then another bad things happen, and oh my gosh, soon you have like a ginormous avalanche of bad things happening, right? And sometimes we can get so stuck in those bad things and we can think, I'm unlucky, or bad things just happen to me, and this day is just going to stink because all these bad things happen to me. And but we can also remember in all of that even though these bad things happen to us, God is still with us in those bad things, right? God is present and walking alongside us in those bad things. Now, there's a lot of questions sometimes, especially with youth, about why God lets bad things happen. And that's an interesting question, right? Because you and I have the choice to believe in God, right? God doesn't force us to believe in God. Because of that choice, also it's called free will, right? Also means that the world's just a little more chaotic. and that bad things do happen because God doesn't control every little single thing. He doesn't control you. He doesn't control your friends, right? He doesn't control how the world works. But what God does do is he walks alongside us in those things. And that is the most important part of faith, right? Jesus walked alongside everybody that was outcast or hurting, or that he healed, right? He walked alongside those people. He didn't demand that they change their mind and they believe in God, right? He didn't do any of that. But he did say, let me walk alongside you in this. And that's the most powerful that faith can be, right? Is in those times of hitting your hand on the bed lamp and then hurting your knee and whatever other bad things may happen, right? God is is with you in that. He's walking alongside you in that. So I want you to think about that this week as you continue to go through your week, and maybe you start getting ready for school, whether it's college or high school or middle or elementary or pre-K. What does it look like? And right, if bad things happen in your day, if bad things happen in your day, maybe where do you see God? Because God's at work. So go in peace, serve the Lord, and go find where God is working.